Hello friends, welcome back to the class. So let us continue with few more Linux commands, and the next command is hostname. So you know what a hostname is. Hostname is a name that is given to a computer which is connected to a network. So now on the terminal, let us type hostname without any attributes and hit enter. So Kali Debian is the hostname of this machine, this virtual machine. Now let us look at the manuals of hostname command. So you know the command is man hostname. So type man hostname and hit enter. You are now looking at some details of hostname command, and as you can see, hostname is shows or set the system hostname, and domain name shows or sets the NIS network information systems or YP, that is yellow pages domain name, and so on. So let us scroll down. So let's further scroll down. Will display only current hostname. Now hit Q to exit the manual pages. Now let us type in the terminal hostname with argument -a. Hit enter. Wow, it displayed nothing. Basically, -a parameter displays alias names of host names. If you have any alias names, it will display those alias names. So we don't have any alias name, so the field is empty on firing hostname -a. So let us type host name ctl. We have some information. Basically, home name ctl is a command used to query and also change the system's hostname and also related settings. But here we are seeing only the details of the virtual machine that you can see on the screen, like static hostname, Kali Debian, icon, computer VPM, and chassis, its virtual machine, and machine ID, boot ID, virtualization we have used oracles, and of course operating system name, kernel, and architecture details are displayed upon firing the hostname ctl command. Now let us move to another operating system or another machine and type the same command. Now we are in Parrot operating system, that is Parrot OS, which is yet another operating system related to penetration testing. And let us type hostname. Hit enter, and we can see Parrot is the name of the computer. And let us type hostname with attribute -a. Again, no details over here. So let us type hostname ctl. See, almost same details are fired over here, like static hostname, icon, chassis, machine ID, virtualization, and so on, with architecture details are mentioned. Now let me clear the screen, and the other command is iplink. So iplink is a command that is used to display or modify network interfaces, and in here in the terminal you can see we have two interfaces, that is H0 and localhost, and its related state, that is whether the network interface is up or down, and hardware information, that is hardware address and broadcast address. Now let me do some tweak. I'll do some settings. What I did was I have added few more interfaces to all of the virtual machines. Now let us open the terminal. iplink, enter. Now you can see over here we have 4 network interfaces listed, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Loopback, H0, H1 and H2 respectively, and of course related network interface information. Now let me type IP-help, which is used to display all the options that are related to the IP command. So in here we have IP link, which we have already seen, then address label, route, rule, nig, and table, tunnel, and so on. So we need to use option or object with IP command, like we have already used IP and link. Now we shall type IP route, and we have some information, that is routing table information. Basically IP route is used to display or alter the routing table. And you know what is the routing table is? A routing table is a data table where a list of routes are mentioned that defines where the data package should send and received. It means on which interfaces the data should be sent and received. And let's move further ahead with another command, IP address. enter. So IP address command displays information related to interfaces as well as the related IP addresses. Now let us check the routing table again by typing the command route enter, route enter, and here you can see the IP table, IP routing table. And as usual, let's go to the manual pages of the route command, man route enter, and name route which shows or manipulate the IP routing table. And here we have so many parameters or options from capital -A till -net. You can use these options for specific informations or for any modifications or additions. And under description we have the description of the route command. Like you can see, it's used to manipulate the kernel's IP routing table and blah 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 blah. Let's scroll down. And under examples we have a lot of examples of this route command. I want you guys to try all of these commands on your terminal and check the results. If you have any questions, fire up. I'll answer as soon as possible. So let me quit from the manual pages to terminal and let me move to a Kali system from Parrot system. Username is Kiran, password is password. Now I am in Kali machine. So I have opened the terminal and let me fire the command again, hyperlink. Let me zoom or let me make the font big. And now you can see three network interfaces. Local host with loopback address. Then we have H0 and we have H1. Now let me type IP addresses again. So we have again three interfaces with its IP addresses and broadcast addresses. You can see localhost with 127.0.0.1 and S0 with not defined or not allocated, and we have H1 with internet address, that is IP address 192.168.1.15/24 CIDR, and so on. Let me clear the screen. Now let us go to the other command, traceroute or traceroute. Traceroute or traceroute is a command line utility that is used to see the route or path taken by the data packets, that is from one machine to a destination machine or another machine. And this command uses ICMP, that is Internet Control Message Protocol. ICMP echo packets from your machine to a destination machine, that is from your machine, source machine to the destination machine, and it displays the path taken by the data packets. And in this slide you can see this is a source PC and this is your home router and this is your ISP. For the data packets to reach to the destination machine, that is you can see right side end, there are three possible routes, and our data packets have taken this middle route in which you can see by the red markers. Now in this slide you can see that trace route from our machine, that is source PC, that is from my MacBook to the Facebook, that is facebook.com, which is 157.240.192.35, which is IP address of the facebook.com. So when I fire traceroute command, path taken from my machine to the destination machine is displayed in the image over here at the top left corner. So traceroute -d www.facebook.com. Now let us see the traceroute command in action in our Kali machine. Traceroute enter. Command not found. Sorry, that is incomplete command. Let me clear and type again. Traceroute. Here traceroute and www.google.com. That's google, google.com, and hit enter. Again command not found. That clearly means that I have not installed traceroute utility. So let me type sudo apt-get install traceroute, type password. Now traceroute utility is installing on my Kali machine. So this is the command. You can see sudo apt-get install traceroute. It should install very quickly. Have patience. It's now completed. Clear. Now let me type the command again. Traceroute google.com. See. Now this is the path from my machine to the google.com machine. So technically data packets from my machine to google.com have taken path from all these network routes or network interfaces. These interfaces could be router interfaces or could be at end it could be ISPs. So as you can see over here, 192.168.1.1 is IP address of my Wi-Fi home router. Then we have 3 stars, maybe it could be a firewall. Then we have broadband.actcorp.in, which is my ISP, and my data packets are traveling through 3 interim routers, that is 183.83.248.26, 1478 and 1270, which are related to my ISP. Then the other 2 routes 6 and 7 have IP addresses 74.125, 242, 129 and 216, 239, 42 and 235. And finally we have arrived to 172, 217, 163 and 36, which could be one of the IP addresses of google.com. And please keep a note that there is no guarantee that the data packets from my machine to google.com will always take the same path. The path could change from time to time. So it is not guaranteed that it will take always the same path. So as usual, with no shame, let us type man traceroute to check the manual pages. See, so this is the manual of the traceroute command. Please read the description and try to learn as much as possible from the manual pages. I will hit Q to enter from the manual pages to my terminal. We are in terminal. So let us once again type traceroute 8.8.8.8. Do you know what is this IP address? It is the IP address of Google DNS server. So traceroute is in action. It's done. Traceroute is complete, and this is the path from my system to a Google DNS server. Now let us move from Linux machine to Windows machine, and this is Windows command prompt. And now let us type traceroute facebook.com, and see, you can see traceroute is not recognized as internal or external command. So it's not traceroute, it is traceroute as said. So let's type traceroute www.facebook.com, hit enter. Now it's tracing the route to star.star-mini.c10r facebook.com, whose IP address is 157.240.192.35. Tracing is going on. Have some patience. Trace completed. Now you can see the trace from our machine to a facebook to 157.240.192.35. So we have almost 7 interim routers between 192.168.1.1 and 157.240.192.35. Now let us type traceroute again, tracer, and let us use -d www.facebook.com. Now let us use IP address traceroute -d 157. So what is -d? -d is an option in traceroute command that tells traceroute not to resolve addresses to a host names. So the tracing that currently is going on will show only the IP addresses, not the host names. See, you can see only the IP addresses of the interim routers, not their host names. Now the trace is completed, and that is a path from our machine to a facebook.com. CLS clearing the screen, and let me switch back to Kali machine. Now allow me to fire Terminator application. Let's make it big and increase the font size and type nslookup. This is another command line utility in Linux distributions, and ns command utility is used to query DNS server to get some information, that is asking DNS server to give some information regarding the domain names. As you can see in the slide, nslookup is simply ns plus lookup, that is name server, that is DNS name server plus lookup, that is asking. So querying DNS server for some information, and it works in two modes, that is interactive mode and non-interactive mode, and about these modes I will explain bit later in this video. And as you can see in the slide, command can be used as follows. At the terminal prompt, you have to type nslookup and the domain name, that is nslookup INSECTECHS.in, and below we have certain options like querying name server, mail server, SOA or any information. DNS server keeps the information of domain names record wisely. It means there are some records of particular domain that DNS server creates and keeps. There are different types of records, like you can see in the slide. A record specifies computer's IP addresses, and any specifies again computer IP addresses. CNAME, that is canonical name, and hinfo, MB, I have not mentioned MX. MX is mentioned, which specifies mail exchange information as a record, and NS, that is DNS name server for the managed zones, and so on. You can do some research on DNS if you don't have knowledge on DNS and its mechanism or its working mechanism. So these are all the types of records that you can ask DNS server by querying the DNS server using the nslookup command. Anyway, the quick information about DNS, that is domain name system. Domain name system is hierarchical and decentralized name system for computers, services and other resources connected to internet or any private network. Anyway, DNS simply means converting or resolving host names into IP addresses. In the table you can see the google.com host name is resolved to 142, 250, 71 and 46. The next domain name, that is facebook.com, is resolved to 157, 240, 193 and 35. Similarly, Yahoo and INSECTECHS.in. Now let us go back to the terminal, and in the terminal we have nslookup. Let us add www.google.com and hit enter. Some information is displayed and you can see the IP address, and nslookup has given the A record, that is IP address of google.com. So if you type nslookup google.com, it will display A record, and this is non-authoritative answer. It means that the answer or the result has been not fetched from the authoritative DNS server. So how do you get authoritative answers? To get authoritative answers, you need to specify authoritative name server as a part of a request, and which we will see later. And let us fire the nslookup command again. nslookup facebook.com, and yet again we got non-authoritative answer, and facebook.com canonical name, that is CNAME is star-mini.c10.r.facebook.com. Did I spell wrong? Anyway, that you can see over in the terminal. Now let us type nslookup yahoo.com. We'll do reverse DNS lookup, that is resolving IP addresses to a host name. This can be done by giving IP address to a nslookup command. So let's split vertically to get the IP address of yahoo.com. That can be done by ping yahoo.com, and now you can see over there that's the IP address 74.6.2020. Copy and nslookup. Let's paste it, and we got result the domain names from the IP address, that is the record of the IP address. So you must understand that you can get information either by using domain names or by using the IP addresses. That is the reverse DNS lookups. So allow me to clear the screen, and now let us type nslookup and hit enter. And now what is this arrow mark? When you type nslookup and hit enter, you will go to interactive mode. Earlier when you typed nslookup and google.com, you got non-authoritative answer. Now you can find out which name servers are responsible, that is authoritative for the domain google.com. That can be done by typing set query or set type is equal to ns. Now type the domain name whose ns records you want to fetch. So type google.com, hit enter. and in here you got answer or the information in two sections. Server 192.168.1.1, you are asking this server 192.168.1.1 and it's on port 53. That's what a DNS server runs on port 53. And you are asking what? You are asking the name server records of google.com, that is the below. So origin is ns1.google.com and whose mail address is dns-admin.google.com and other information. Since now our set type is equal to ns, let us fetch name server records of facebook.com. Simply type the domain name. You do not need to type set type is equal to ns again. Simply type www.facebook.com and that is again the answer is in two sections. Server IP is 192.168.1.1 and here we got authoritative answers that you can see on the screen. Similarly, let me try for insectechs.in. So let us type www.insectechs.in. Again we got answer in two sections. However, this time we got non-authoritative answer. The canonical name is insectechs.in and the name servers are ns14.domaincontrol.com and ns13.domaincontrol.com. Now let us fetch the MX, that is mail exchange server records. So for that you need to type, or let us change set type is equal to MX. We need to specify the domain name, so we'll specify www.google.com. Now you can see the authoritative answer again of domain name google.com. You have information of MX records of the domain name google.com. Now let us change to facebook.com. So we will get MX records of facebook.com. Again we have authoritative answers and type exit to get out of ns lookup interactive mode to the terminal. So the next command is netstat. What is netstat? Again, netstat is another utility in Linux and also in Windows that gives information or displays information related to network, like network connections, routing table, interfaces and masquerade connections, unknown connections and so on. So and hit enter, cartload of information. Let's scroll up. So here we have active internet connections and all the information or statistics of your network interfaces. I mean, this could be established connections, listening sockets, both incoming and outgoing. It looks a bit messy. Anyway, now let us type netstat -a and hit enter. Now you will get all the information related to all the ports, all the active ports. So these are all the active ports or services that are listening. Now let me clear and use another option with netstat command, netstat -ie. When you fire netstat with IE, I brings up netstat overview menu, and while E displays or shows statistics of network connections, that is data sent and received or packets sent and received. So as you can see over here, we have interface table with three interfaces, H0, H1 and localhost, and its related IP addresses allocated to that interfaces. Next, netstat -r. -r option brings up IP routing table information. So you can see over here we have the routing table information. Now let us move to the Windows computer and use the same netstat command and check the network statistics on Windows system, and this is the command prompt. Let me type netstat and hit enter, and you can see the active connections. We have the protocol, that is TCP, and local addresses, that is from the localhost we have certain connections established, and from 192.168.1.8 on certain ports we have foreign addresses, that is destination hosts, they are also established. I think we have the browser open. You can see HTTPS. Again, the connection is established. So these are all the statistics that is related to my network. Let me clear the screen. And netstat-at. Netstat with -at options will display connections that are established and listening related only to TCP protocol, that is transmission control protocol. So here in the screen you can see these are all the connections that are related to TCP protocol only, and some are in listening state and some are in established state. So you can see the local address or source address and the foreign address to which they are listening or the connection has been established. So let's wait. Control C to cancel the progress, and netstat-b. If you fire netstat command with -b option, it will display all the connections that are created by executables like you can see over here, firefox.exe. exe is an executable, and this exe application or this application is creating connections to a remote host, and on what port numbers they are creating these connections are displayed in this terminal or in this prompt when we have used this -b command. So as you can see in the screen, we have a local host on port 4396 connected to foreign port on 4397, and it is established, and so on. So let me type netstat / to get some help on the options that can be used with the netstat command. As you can see over here, we have so many options. -a displays all connections and listening ports. We have used -b. Executables involved, we have used E with I, which displays Ethernet statistics, and so on. You can also use all these switches like F to display fully qualified domain names, that is FQDN, and -n to display port numbers in numerical form and addresses. So let me clear the screen. Netstat-n. It displays addresses and port numbers as said in numerical form so that we can understand. So you can see over here we have addresses and port numbers in numerical form. So we have TCP connections from local address, that is 127.0.0.1 on certain ports, as you can see, to the foreign address, and they are established. In this case, foreign address is also localhost, but when you come down, you can see the local address 192.168.1.8 on port 4517 to the foreign address, that is 40.100.136.114 on port number 443. The connection is established, and so on. So -n used to display all the statistics in numerical form, that is IP addresses and port numbers. So the next is netstat-e. So -e option is used with netstat to display Ethernet statistics. Like here in the command prompt you can see netstat-e interface statistics, amounts of information in bytes received and sent, and unicast packages, not unicast packets, not broadcast packets, and other information of the interface is displayed like discards in data packets might be discards, errors, and other unknown protocols. So next we have netstat-f. Enter. Now you can see the active connections, and if you fire netstat with -f, it will display fully qualified domain names of the foreign addresses, that is FQDN, fully qualified domain, or absolute domain name. It is called as absolute domain names of the foreign addresses are displayed when you fire f netstat, and you can see local host, local address connected to foreign address. Also down below you can see 192.168.1.8 on port 4517 is connected to 40.100.136.114, and the connection is established, and so on. Let me clear the screen, and now we have netstat-q. Q option with netstat displays all connections, listening ports and bound non-listening TCP ports. Bound non-listening ports may or may not be associated with active connections, so you can see the listening and established ports and associated port numbers. Now the next command is ARP. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. It is a communication protocol that is used to get the MAC address associated to an IP address. You must know that most of the computers or application uses what is called as logical address or IP addresses to send and receive the data or messages. But the actual communication happens over the physical address, that is a MAC address. MAC stands for Media Access Control, that is layer 2 of OSI model, if you know OSI model. So to get the MAC address associated to an IP address, we use ARP protocol. So in your computer, ARP table has IP addresses and their associated MAC addresses, and you can add or delete those entries manually. Below you are seeing an example how a static entry can be added and how you can display the ARP table. ARP-A is used to display the ARP table. So let us see that in action. Let me clear the screen. Before learning ARP command, let me introduce you getMAC command. getMAC is a command that displays hardware address of your network interfaces. You might have a LAN card or Wi-Fi card or local host. So if you have 3 interfaces, it will show the hardware address of those 3 network interfaces. Now let us proceed with ARP command. ARP-A, enter. Now you can see the ARP tables. You have 2 interfaces. As above you can see at the getMAC command, the first physical address has a media disconnected. Only you have FA28, only you have below 2 hardware addresses which are corrected. So and when you fired up ARP-A, you can see the ARP table of that interfaces. So you have 192.168.56.1 and its related ARP table, and you have static entries, and below interface, that is 192.168.1.8, you have one dynamic and rest other static entries. Let us move back to Kali machine. ARP-A command not found. So let us type sudo ARP-A. So we have one entry 192.168.1.1 and associated MAC address is, you can see 001E A6 F8 36 and F4. Let me type sudo ARP-N. So now we have one more bit of information, that is address and hardware type Ethernet and associated hardware address, and the interface is ETH1. Next command is wget. Wget is actually an utility that is used to download files from the internet. So let me first look out current working directory, that is pw, enter. So I am at root home Kiran. So that is the current working directory. ls. So we have desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures. These are all the folders. We don't have any files over here. So let me open the browser. So that's the Kali website, kali.org, and here you can see an image. Let me right click on the image and view it, and above in the browser location bar you can see the path of the image where the image is stored. So you can copy the path or the link of the image. So now here you can see only the folders, desktop to the videos. No other files are there. Now carefully look at wget and paste the path. Hit enter. And you can see the image is downloaded over here. This is the image on the cursor. By the way, you have to install the wget utility. You can install by typing sudo apt install wget. With this we will wrap up this class. It's a bit lengthy class, but I hope you have taken all the commands in your notebook. And as we proceed through other classes, you will learn few more commands. So have a great day. Thank you for watching the video and do subscribe to the YouTube channel INSECTECHS.